Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for soul growth. Come journey with us through astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello, everybody. Sue Minahan. This is Talk Cosmos. What a dynamic month, March. It's just powerhousing. We'll show you that because the moon on a very irregular system makes its changes, and yet it's wedged in with so many incrementally big consciousness changes. So I'm very delighted to now say that we're ready for Kaleidoscope vision so that we can have all the time possible to give you a roadmap as to what we might be experiencing. Thank you.
Understanding the cosmic energies influencing our consciousness by the 4 major moon phases for the month, this is your Kaleidoscope Visions panel.
I'm Sue Minahan, founder of Talk Cosmos since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, speaker, writer, vibrational astrology student, Dwarf Planet University graduate, Kepler Astrology Toastmasters Club charter member. I have a fine arts music degree plus a certificate in jazz. I'm an artist, musician, and certified color energy life coach. Especially, I love mythology and esoteric philosophies.
I'm Amanda Pierce. I'm a soul-centered astrologer, blending intuition into my practice. I believe the universe is always working for our highest good and seek to empower my clients in our readings. I teach a 4-week series of empowerment-based meditation classes that connect you deeper into your own intuition and innate power. I work in communications with a passion for employee experience. I also have a BA in psychology. I'm passionate about healing and enjoy helping others create new realities and shift old paradigms.
And I'm John Chenworth, a Seattle astrologer with more than 25 years experience. I use a blend of evolutionary, traditional, and archetypal techniques and constantly attend workshops and lectures to further hone my skills. I hold an MFA in poetics, an MA in teaching, and an astrological diploma. I've lectured at NORWAC and served on the WSAA board. I have worked in general and special education classrooms, both as a teacher and mentor. I also enjoy reading, penning poems, riding a bike, and going on road trips around the great state of Washington.
And like the Sufi poet Rumi says, you are the entire ocean in a drop.
Well, we're swimming these days, aren't we? Hello, Amanda. Hi, John.
Hello.
Hi. Glad to be back here with you both.
It's March. Good grief.
And we're marching. I've got my orders. It's a collective thing.
Yeah. What's with time anyway?
I know. How can we pack this in? But we will begin because it's about the retrogrades and an eclipse to boot, besides other material. Starting right off in March. And I also want to add to people that this is live. If you want to add to the chat, go ahead. And we have a soundboard engineer that will bring it to our attention, or else we'll see it. And we're glad to get your comments. So thank you. The sun and the moon, the luminaries. The sun emits light. It gives light it's a star, whereas the moon is reflecting light. That's pretty important because it's reflecting what light the sun is giving. And it's that relationship that makes these systematic lunar cycles as they orbit. Here is a distinct illustration. Yes. And it is with a new moon, no light, going to what you will see in the sky is a half moon, and then the full moon, which in this case will be a lunar eclipse at night. We'll just see that gorgeous ring around it. And then finishing with a quarter moon. The exact dates happened just prior to us. We are already in the energy of the new moon in Pisces, so it's water, water, water. And that was on the 27th at 9 degrees Pisces. Coming up in a few days on the 6th of March will be the first quarter also in Gemini, another mutable sign at 16 degrees, 21 minutes Gemini. Then the lunar eclipse, depending where you are in the world, will be on the 13th or the 14th. And it is in Virgo, 23 degrees, 56 minutes, almost at 24 degrees Virgo. And boy, I have lots of twos on that third quarter, but it is March 22nd. And it's in Capricorn. It's at early Capricorn, 2 degrees and 5 minutes. Just as a highlight to mention, we still have out of bound planets. And that's when it orbits outside the sun's path, the elliptical path of 23 degrees, 44 minutes. Archetypally, they're independent. The moon fluctuates in and out, and it will be during the quarter moons, the first and the third. But Mars has been out of bounds since January 1st and will remain in this entire month going into April 7th. And it is the dispositor for all the Aries personal planets. So they're working together in this triad. What soup? That happens to be a theme that we've picked on. We're determining whether we're going to still drink soup next month, but it's Mars out of bounds. What do you say? Green Thai curry.
I think that's a good match.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely a spicy version of green Thai, right?
It's going to be a strong curry because if Mars is out of bounds, it's a little bit more extreme. It has a stronger pull. So I think that's a good choice.
Yummy. Now, the new moon is a seed point. It was on last week. The dispositors have two, the modern being Neptune in Pisces, all this month and ready to change. And the traditional would be Jupiter in Gemini. So this is a very mutable new moon that we're experiencing. And there is a Sabian involved. It's at 10 degrees, always rounds off to the next one. John?
Oh, just what you have here. It says man's ability to develop powers and skills, which by transcending natural limitations allow him to operate in a mental spiritual realm. This is like, I guess the moon is saying beyond what you think you can do. Like reaching beyond yourself spiritually, mentally. You're more than you think you are.
I like that.
Might be a take on it.
Good, because some keywords.
It makes you reach towards mastery. You're trying things that you're not used to develop skills.
Well, that expresses well. It says an aviator pursuing his journey, flying through the ground obscured clouds. Thank you, John. What are the dynamics? There's a stellium. It's big, Amanda.
Well, there's so much Pisces energy right now. And this new moon started this past Thursday. So we're in it right now. And there can be so much sensitivity here, potentially can be overwhelm, and maybe some confusion on where we're going right now. That's the Pisces energy, but I really love that Sabian symbol for what the potential is. Like if we have a more focused practice with this Pisces energy, like something like some type of visioning work or meditation or dream work, like there's a lot that we can gather out of this before we kind of jump headfirst into all the Aries that's going to be coming up.
It definitely does inspire imagination. Has that activation with Jupiter getting things big. Excellent. John?
I was just thinking of the old saying astrologers used to say, with so much Pisces, let go and let God, or you're in this river with a huge current and sometimes you just have to go where that river's taking you and wait for a branch you can hang on to. That's that overwhelm, kind of trust where it's going.
It is, if we're trying to control it, which is so interesting. But here we have this, look at that, within that stellium, we're realizing there's that opposing factor of the nodes that are attached to a lot of planets in the north node of our destined path, we might say. So by figuring out what to release, which thankfully Virgo's good at doing, and necessarily, but it can be tough, but I think really just letting the universe take some response to what we're internally desiring that maybe we can't imagine, that's being illustrated, because we do have Saturn and Mercury together with that destination, along with Neptune. So it is very much bringing form to the mystical.
I was thinking at the time, well, this is February 27th, but at that time have been journaling your dreams, getting them down on paper might be very useful. Maybe through this cycle, really pay attention to what your dreams are saying and get them down on paper. You might find patterns in them, right?
Yeah, and listening, like the Mercury there, it's like listen to what is there, and it may be very faint, it may be subtle. So this is a really good time for us to slow down. And especially now that Mars is direct, often at this point when it's at the end of its retrograde and it's coming into direct motion, there can be a lot of exhaustion with the Mars. So take some time to just take care of yourself and be in silence if possible and hear what you need to hear.
It's very true, because that activating force wants to do with Mars just generally searching. And that, how excellent, because Mars is in activating our wounds, Chiron. So it could be very healing by taking, as you suggest, time out. And my dreams, boy, they've been active. I know one morning I woke up and I've heard that when you get, well, some things are a process and some things are instructional. And both seem to be happening, whether I can cue in. Thank you. We have also a strong aspect. It's called Thor's hammer, the mythological Nordic Thor. And Mars is the focal point. So I think everything you've said is very important to realize that we're being pushed. But it's to reform our altar, our hearth, because it's where there's a square and then it's focused into, well, in this case, Mars is the focal point. But what nourishes us? So I think your advice to go to a massage or find out, draw pictures, express yourself in different ways or listen to movies, get inspired.
Those two asteroids in that figure, that's Juno and Ceres, it looks like. And these were two goddesses who were really big on being true to yourself. And Juno is the source of the Roman idea of your inner genius, which I think is kind of cool.
Oh, perfect. On a flowing aspect, there's sextiles that connect the energies. There's 60 degrees, or the trine 120, which is a harmonious that vibrational astrology determines you actually need to maintain that trine. It's not just that it flows, it's that you have something invested in keeping it flowing. So that's a very interesting. One is in water. It's a grand trine, which is very emotional. Let's look at that first, shall we? It's with Mars, which is out of bounds. It's also in that healing process. It's connected with Saturn and Mercury. So we're really, like you say, making form, thinking about the bigger picture of, because Pisces isn't so personal, it's the collective.
So, and it looks like it's Vesta, not Juno, correct? That's in that grand trine.
Oh, rats. Yes, you're so right. It's Vesta. Yeah, I made an error. Thank you for that. I guess we all looked at these, but not, sometimes it's easy to jump over. And things are retrograde. I mean, as if we're experiencing, which we will show you, Venus right now is retrograde. So whenever we're redoing things, it gets messy. Yeah, but Vesta would be what we're trying to put into our hearth of thought. Well, maybe we should move on. Shall we do that?
Let's do it.
Okay, because this point, which we've brought up several times, happens to be very strong in this entire month. It's a point of Thales. What does that mean? It means when there's another focal planet that's actually helping us work out an opposition between two planets, because it has a sextile of connections and a trine of flowing to that opposition. And it happens to be in those opposition planets during this whole month, it's changing what they're trying to work through. So let's start off with the seed point, the new moon, which is in Pisces, the focal point will be Uranus, which of course is sudden changes and is bringing us to the immediate moment here, something unexpected that is outside of our box. If we're ready to receive it, can be helpful. And it's between the nodes, but attached to the north node of destiny happens to be Mercury. So we're maybe, like you had said, writing in our journals and poetry, or bringing some kind of mental connection, or songs in music might be very helpful.
Any planets in evolutionary astrology, any planets that are trine or sextile, like an opposition or just having those aspects, they're your helpers helping you along on your incarnational journey. And having Uranus like that is saying, welcome the surprises, allow them, because we're trying to jump you onto a new track or change your track a little bit to help you grow a little bit.
Yeah,
this is actually a good Uranus, I think.
It is. It's sextiles and trines. Like, these are more flowing shifts, even if they are surprises. They aren't necessarily the hard ones. Mm-hmm. And we're in the new moon period again. So this is still the seed point for this whole month. And we are looking at a lunar eclipse coming up. And so this is a really nice helper before that eclipse hits. So we might get some insights into areas that are going to help shift us on this, on our North Node journey before that eclipse happens, because the eclipse always includes the nodes. I like it.
The soup. Well, we have another thought, because we're looking here at and I forgot to put it's Pisces. It's not Aquarius. Oh, detail city. My Virgo South Node has got to keep collective, the South Node. But we thought of the salmon, because the salmon, which is very in the rivers, goes upstream on this pilgrimage to go back to its birthplace. It's actually a very thoughtful.
I like a good salmon chowder, so good pick.
Yeah, that was Amanda. Thank you. Inspiration. Well, moving into what's ahead, we're in that in-between time. A few days from now, the first quarter moon, which is a crisis in action. It wants to energize something, and it is, in that sense, we call it crisis. It's waxing, means the light is increasing. We're moving forward. And being in Gemini, 16 degrees, 21 minutes, the dispositor ruler is Mercury in Aries.
And Mercury is about to go retrograde as well. And the ruler of Mercury is Mars, which is out of bounds. So there's this big energy of things shifting. And with a moon in Gemini, we really want to be open to lots of information coming in right now. This is the first quarter moon is it has an outward action yang energy to it. So we're taking action out in the world and gathering information as part of that.
And it will be, because the Sabian at 17 degrees rounded off is mental metamorphosis ahead of a robust youth, changes into a mature thinker. John, any last thoughts before we
kind of emphasize with that Jupiter next to the moon? So that's also expansion. I think of coming of age and steady growth, the power of change, and most important of all, a natural evolution. You naturally become who you're going to become. It's a nice symbol.
It does suggest that it's steady. It's a metamorphosis. It's not like a dramatic, painful thing. It's just a process.
Like steady growth without missing any of the steps between, maybe.
Looking at Venus retrograde, because that occurs March 1st, which was happening, as Amanda had mentioned, that Mercury will be, but we're experiencing Venus in Aries at 10 degrees 50-minute Aries. It's all month until mid-April retrograde. And it will be going back into Pisces. So it's between the water and the fire, which is really a huge a rebirth theme. But these are just symbols of the many artifacts that we have about what cultures have called Venus because she's the brightest in the sky. And whether it's been called Inanna or Aphrodite, Venus, there is that
Many
power.
names from different cultures.
Yeah, exactly.
So an important celestial being in many cultures because of her brightness.
Yeah, and it is our values. She brings out, especially in Aries, we're rethinking our values. We're rethinking our meaningfulness with our everything that's Venusian, our money, our values, our selfhood, being ourselves in Aries. It's huge. So we look at the first quarter here, the actual chart. I know, Amanda, you began us on that idea, but there's more conjunctions and
Sure. I was just going to mention about the Venus retrograde that it spans both of the eclipses, the upcoming lunar this month and the solar next month. And so this retrograde period is like these eclipses are going to be quite a bit about relationships and about Venusian topics. So we're really going inward. We're getting clear on our relationship dynamics, anything that needs to shift, how we listen and relate to our own inner reality. Venus is relational, and that has to do with how we relate to others, but also how we relate to ourselves. So it's incredibly personal. So anything that needs to shift around that is going to be coming up, and it's going to be, the eclipses are going to impact that big time. So we're really going to see some stuff moving. It's
strong. Thank you for that, Amanda. With the first one, which is on the 6th of March at 11:31 in the morning Eastern time, there's a few conjunctions of planets that are important. The sun is with Saturn within, 5 degrees, but it's still potent because it's the sun. The North Node is just a degree, if that even. It's, about a degree from Neptune. The moon, as John, you've mentioned, is about 4 degrees from Jupiter. So it passes, but as far as it's strong. And also Pluto, which is our transformational, is with the strategist, Pallas Athena, which is a few degrees in networking communities of Aquarius. So there's still this strong opposition with the nodes, of course, which exists, but the point is that what planets are attached to it? Well, it happens to be strongly with Saturn, the North Node, and Neptune, which is very mystical according to vibrational astrology when you get Saturn and Neptune together. So answering to those sudden spurts is still a huge theme all month of getting what we might see from a song or from a billboard or a book or a conversation here.
I have another comment on that. Pluto Pallas, the connection to the community, the greater community, transformation. There's Pluto there, and if he's teaming up with Pallas, who is strategy, we're deepening and transforming our strategies and how to deal with what's happening now. So coming up with new ideas, right?
Yeah.
We have to think outside the box. New connections have to be made.
Well, here we go. Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, I was thinking on the same track as well. And it's like we're strategizing for our soul in a way, Pluto being the soul. Right. And so like we're kind of, and Pluto's unconscious, so we're not actively doing it. You can make it active, but it's going to be happening there under the surface for us. And that's going to serve us well as we kind of go forward in the next couple weeks, because Mercury and Venus will be touching Pluto as well.
Here it shows distinctly that expanded version of that connection, because Pluto up there in the 11th house, because this is everybody an Aries, a zero Aries chart, because it's universal, for the globe. So it's not actually 11th house, but if you want to see where it is, it happens to be in the 11th house. But it has a 60-degree connection sextile with Juno of our alliances and partnerships and what we've brought up, along with Mercury. So that is very strongly a thinking as we're discerning. Mercury rules both the South Node.
And speaking from a place of power, that Mercury is speaking Pluto power, and how do we voice what we need to,
especially as the collective is enduring many significant changes, whether we're on one side of the fence or the other side of the fence. I mean, not to say that we're not grounded in the mundane. And so it really does help us re-strategize our purpose. I know that today someone disagreed with me. A simple statement that I made, someone I know, have known, let's say, an acquaintance. And I just had to say, my DNA disagrees with you. I see it as totally truthful. And so I welcomed that opportunity to be able to state that in such a way that was non-inflammatory, just simply the fact. It was my truth, my vision. And I totally don't understand it all, but I had to state let it go. So yes. And we of course have that out of bounds Mars still. And in this one, the moon is out of bounds because it's a quarter. So, that actually, it is in Gemini, all this mutable energy. We're maybe shifting our focus from this to that to something else to try to see the big picture, right?
Yeah. And that being in that kind of Gemini energy is really beneficial to us right now because of that Jupiter connection to the moon. Jupiter brings good things. So finding ways to stay light and curious about information and not get attached, if you can help it, to outcomes or anything really, and just taking in the information at the moment.
And I do have grand water trine with Vesta here. So that is correct. Well, we'll get to our soup and then we'll take a little break. The soup we're living in for the first quarter at 16 degrees, 21 Gemini. We decided, oh boy, tell us, Amanda.
So we're adding some sweet potatoes to the soup. It's kind of a comfort element and some sustenance, and kind of helps ground us into it. And some pearl onions, which blends both the Pisces energy, because pearls are of the sea, and Aries, because onions just have like this pungent spiciness to it. So,
oh boy. Well, we are enjoying this. We will be right back. Stay with us. You have a couple of moments. And thank you. This is Talk Cosmos with Kaleidoscope Visions, Amanda Pierce and John Chinworth, plus myself, Sue Minahan. See ya quickly. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the yin period of Pisces, ruled modernly by Neptune and by Jupiter in traditional astrology of the ancients. By leaving a cycle based on the equality of all humans and brilliancy, Pisces concludes the 12 signs that energetically encompass the entirety of the universe, where humans have no control. As a mutable water sign represented by two fish swimming in opposite directions of the forces of life, we experience in Pisces the collective unconscious energy of the unknown. Intuitive, psychic Pisces completes the seed cycle, initiated with Aries' willful separation from the Piscean womb.
Talk Cosmos brings insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for the soul growth with hour-long programs. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. And to find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com. So grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to Natasha Venter at intuitiveclarifications.com, we cover the world of animals. This week, March 9th, it's Best, Neuroenergetic Balancing, Rasmussen Reset, and Energy Code Sunday. Dr. Nels Rasmussen and Sister Linda Rasmussen join us to take your phone calls, and together they can help you or your animal friends with emotional, behavioral, or physical issues. Hope you can join us. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Get inspired every hour right here on Alternative Talk 1150.
Well, we are moving into our second half with the Pisces moon phases, retrogrades, and eclipses. We have Amanda Pierce at amandamoonastrology@gmail.com, John Chinworth, skypathastro.com, or email archerstars@gmail.com. Myself, Sue Minahan, talkcosmos.com, and of course the YouTube channel, and info@talkcosmos.com. We are consultants. To bring that into focus for everybody, you can contact us. Also on Talk Cosmos YouTube, I have a new program that I did with Liz Mouchette on her astrology Star Sisters Talk Over Tea, where I talk about Uranus ingress Gemini. It's lots of fun. Talk Cosmos, we have a wonderful program about Venus retrograde that you can find out more about on Planet Buzz with Louise Eddington. Dr. Tad wasn't able to join us for that event, but it worked out beautifully. She'll be with us next week when we do Neptune in Aries. But we also have U.S. Chiron return, which is a very important event occurring, a rites of passage for the United States. It's our fifth one. It's the third exact conjunction. So you might really look into it. It's been quite dynamic. And that's with U.S. Global Currents panel. And also, if you want to know more about the Pisces moon in depth, look at archetypal symbols. Last week, we talked about it. Here, for those people that do want to subscribe, we have a whole series of events in March going across Neptune and the eclipses, the spring messages that come, and it's going to be lots very powerful. And thank you very much. Briefly speaking, there are two events that I want to bring focus to and will continually. One is an online healing event that is always very thoughtfully prepared by Padma Life Coaching. And that will be in April. However, this month there's a discount. So you can go to that. Just look here, Caring for the Soul. And it's a virtual retreat, Caring for the Soul, at evanbright.com. And there's a code, VHR25. So you can get about $30 off. Just to save the date, we'll tell you about how to register later, but it will be at Fractal Cosmos. Vibrational Astrology, which I'm a student of, Linda Barry, working with David Cochran, but Linda's really preparing a vibrational astrology conference for the Labor Day weekend. So if anybody wanted to learn about it, there's going to be two tracks, a beginner's track, which will be a great introduction just to learn what is vibrational astrology. And then for those that are studying it, there'll be an advanced track. So listen up, because this is really where we're headed. Let's go into the lunar eclipse. My goodness, March 13th and 14th at 23 degrees, 56 minutes of Virgo, with Mercury retrograde at this, going to be retrograde the next day, and Venus retrograde. Okay. Maybe we should first talk about what is an eclipse.
Well, yeah. So eclipses they're periods where a lot of change and essential growth can take place. They can be portals for karmic content to move through and for us to release and integrate. It's a period where we can break free from certain patterning that we've been doing over and over. It's a choice to get off of that and start a new trajectory.
It truly is. because the light goes away, and when it comes back, perhaps we've seen something that we didn't notice before, or a truth that we can adjust to. John?
The lunar eclipse is when the shadow of the Earth covers that of the moon. So the moon starts to look really eerie, and it gives you a sense of something more soul deep or something like that. Whereas, like the solar eclipses are more loud and blatant. I can't think of the words that I want to use, but you know what I mean?
Loud and blatant.
It's more,
Yeah.
it's more subdued in a lunar eclipse.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah, lunar eclipses can bring to the surface, into our full awareness, things that have kind of been percolating underneath that we haven't quite fully addressed yet, and it will come forward now. And they can oftentimes have to do with our emotional journey or our relationship journey, personal life stuff.
Yeah. In Virgo, we'll be reorganizing. There's our wellness, our health, routine activities. It's going to be powerful. My goodness, let's find out what it's about. Here, this is a quick graphic that's very lovely. It shows the sun and the Earth is blocking the light. And this will be total. This is a lunar Saros cycle 123. Started back, I think, in the 1600s, 1664, but that's a whole nother subject. Yes, John?
I have a totally exciting note about that. 1664 in August is when this Saros cycle of eclipses started. And that was when England took over New Amsterdam from the Dutch, and it became New York. And we all speak English. It's like that's kind of a pivotal date in early American
Wow. I wonder if we could start a new language now. I mean, that's the thing about other languages. It shows you that it isn't just exactly the rule. You learn about these rules and certain things that you don't even think about. For instance, I know this is one of my trigger points. Learning Spanish, if I said, I am hungry, no, they never say that. They say, I have hunger, because how could I be hunger? It's like, oh, thank you very much. I like this. It kind of shifts your consciousness. Well, thank you for those comments too. The Sabian symbol, rounded off, remember, it will be 24 degrees Virgos, although some people do look at the degree. It's really not right or wrong, but in this particular, want to say that. Here it is Mary and her white lamb.
Straight out of the, what are those, Mother Goose rhymes or something?
Yes,
where
little
they from,
white lamb.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Just, innocence and starting out, like think of the child, right? Everything is new and amazing.
Isn't that great? That is so much to do with your Uranus too. It brings that whole energy up that, because it's an emotional response to be fearful. We have habits. That was a revolutionary thought for me, that I realized, I can change that. It's a habit, because, it takes time and focus and determination and remembering to do that. But just because we respond in a certain way, perhaps to sudden new things or to conflict, we have ways of strategizing it, right? That's why all of these parts.
Might be this Sabian symbol might be speaking to being willing to see something with new eyes, right?
Let's see that. And I don't know how I had the outline in red. I almost thought that's not a bad idea, but I didn't go back and change it.
Well, what comes to mind for me is with the white lamb, it's thinking about what's pure and what's sacred to you. And especially with these nodes, we've got the Pisces North node, we've got the Virgo South node, and this lunar eclipse happening on those nodes connected to them. There are going to be important themes around what is sacred in our life. That's kind of the juxtaposition between Pisces and Virgo, like the sacred in the spiritual realm and the sacred in the earth realm. And and how is that going to come forward for us? How are we going to amplify our connection to the divine? It's guiding us back towards a more sacred experience of life.
and connected to nature generally with all that Piscean, the natural world at large. That's powerful.
And even more behind that is that square from, looks like Chiron to Mars. So processing the wounds and things that hurt a lot at this time and what to do about that.
And Mars is out of bounds. It will be totally, and in Cancer, very focused on security, what is safe, really wanting to move forward, but remembering how to do this. And I think it's helping because our wounds, when they're personally experienced, is limiting. But when we begin to expand them to how it could be of service or how we can be of service to others, liberates a channel of focus. So there is very strong this dynamic of the collective that I think will be healing. We'll find new purpose, right? Renewed purpose.
If we're allowed to share what we need to share, whatever it might be, and we have listeners, well, it's our responsibility as a community to allow others to share as well and be present for them.
Well, here we have perhaps ways that we can connect and flow. Remember that the lunar eclipse at 23 degrees, 56 minutes Virgo, because it's so close to the South Node, will happen in DC right after midnight on the 14th of March at 2:54 a.m., you could say. So I think in Europe, it's going to be on the 13th because it's earlier. And what do we see here? There is that grand trine that keeps working, and it's with Vesta. Thank you. Did I put Vesta? Yes, I did. Vesta here. And it stays throughout the entire month, it seems. We have this emotional, I think you brought that up, Amanda, in the very beginning, that we're purging, we're refocusing an emotional response, which is messy sometimes, but yes, very gratifying when we can rechannel habits.
I don't remember who the astrologer was that they related Vesta as the battery, the charge that we have, what kind of battery that we run on. And then this is a very scorpionic, deep battery, right? How can we recharge our energy? I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I think Amanda has a thought. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just going to say also that Vesta is considered part of the sacred. So it's like, how do we reconnect with that? This is part of that grand trine. And John, I really loved what you said when we were chatting about this before the show about this grand trine. It's like, there's the potential to get the tears flowing because it's a water grand trine. Mm-hmm. And so washing it out and releasing and surrendering it, which is, we've got the moon conjunct the South Node. The South Node is a release point. So this eclipse, like, let it out, let those feelings flow. I like how Saturn in here kind of grounds it and makes it more stable and more safe to feel. So
I think it's ironic that Vesta is this goddess of the flame, and she's telling us to keep the emotions coming, which is water.
Yeah,
and I think it has
water. Sure,
it has a lot to do with details too, because if we're releasing, the Virgo gets focused on details to fix and to use and to incorporate. And there are times when, just like as we work together, I keep editing to simplify concepts, to make it streamlined. But also, thankfully, on some of our graphics, we, like in the very beginning, showing that illustration of the phases, eliminated the details of what they were, just showed the picture. So that, just to illustrate an idea of how details can kind of get reshifted or blocked, not be so pinpointing, but in other words, looking at how we see that differently. But what I'm also looking at is, and maybe that's it, here we have the moon in a trine with Chiron and Eris, Eris, the goddess of discord, it's called, but it's only because it's all about inclusivity. What are we rejecting? And of course, with the climate of the world right now, that's a huge theme going on. And I think throughout it, we will find more strategy of how to be inclusive, or at least within our network of community.
Eris is the goddess of discord and all that, but also she represents what you show up for, and you'll stand up for regardless. She threw that golden apple out because she was left out. She's saying,
and wanted to be included.
Don't forget me. And she's right there with Chiron saying, this is the pain I'm feeling now, and you're not going to ignore me or count me out. It's that thing where the community, we must listen to those that might be hurting and give them space.
And it looks like this might not actually be a trine. This looks like it's a quincunx, but it's still at that connection point to the moon.
You're right.
And there's just this, we're really feeling that. We're really feeling that wounding, that Chiron wounding with the moon.
You're right. It is because it's Virgo to Aries. Oh, another big goof.
We're touching into it. But, it's an important piece here to this eclipse. And
the quincunx is about like a therapeutic work.
Yes.
Something you have to work on and
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is because people call it an irritation. Well, no, it's more than that. It is, and in vibrational astrology, just what you said, John, it is where we have a need karmatically to work on it. And isn't that the truth? As we're fixing life and trying to, which is part of Virgo. Yes.
And it's the story of Chiron who can never heal his wounds. So he's always
healing.
He's in this constant therapy of healing others because he can't heal himself. And he gets better.
So by serving others, we can heal. Amanda, before we go on.
I mean, even if you do consider a quincunx an irritation, it's that's one of the beautiful things about the harder aspects is that they kind of force you to address stuff. And that's the square, which is often considered the most challenging, is considered an action aspect because of that. Because it's like, well, you're going to have you're going to have to shift something because this is too uncomfortable. So
I love how you...
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, really.
Both embellish on the whole spectrum. Moving on. We have, again, the point of Thales. Now, this time it's a little bit different than before. Before it was just with Mercury. It's still Uranus. It's a mitigator that's working between trying to connect and flow. But here, it's more than with the nodes, which it is. It is exactly with the eclipse itself. And the eclipse, which of course involves the nodes, but it's the eclipse itself, the sun and the moon that are opposite, and the sun with Saturn. I think you were mentioning earlier, wouldn't it be great to have some introduction of Saturn, that consolidation of what's essential, what's important, how are we going to focus?
Yeah, I mean, this is really saying it being so ingrained in this eclipse, like there are big shifts on the horizon for us all, and it's nice that this is a trine and a sextile that's helping it along. But yeah, this is big stuff is going to be brewing for all of us here.
Okay, the soup for the lunar eclipse at almost 24 degrees is John.
Me? Why did we put dumplings in there? I don't remember. I think they were just something that...
You kept saying dumplings. All you kept saying is dumplings.
Maybe I was craving them.
Dumplings. You wanted dumplings, so we put in dumplings.
I think it's the wholesomeness to be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, right?
Yeah, I think it was dumplings and chicken. And it wasn't so much chicken broth as it was chicken. Dumplings and chicken. And so maybe I should have put dumplings and chicken because they kind of go in tandem, right? And it's nourishing, it's yummy.
Right. When we're working through things or going through a hard time, when the neighbors bring us a chicken soup, that's awesome. So maybe this is the way we were thinking, self-care kind of soup.
Yeah. Right. Something nourishing, homemade. That's like very much on the Virgo aspect here where we're looking to create healthier dynamics for ourselves, healthier habits for ourselves.
And I brought in beets just because all of a sudden it was just this renegade thought. I thought, well, beets are kind of hearty and fat and good. And
I get that.
They're good if they're not.
They're tied to Mars.
Yeah.
So
are they? That's interesting. They're also very earthy. I mean, a lot of people think beets taste like dirt. They've got that taste of the earth.
Yeah,
So it
I've
can be
acquired
grounding.
a taste for them somehow. I think Costco packages them in this little thing.
I
Anyway,
like
and they're
meat
supposed
salad.
to be good for you. Oh, I'll try it. Well, we have here the third quarter moon. It's a crisis in consciousness. Remember, the first was an action, but now we've got to that halfway point where it was an eclipse. It's really revolutionary as far as what starts and ends, but it's also a discerning point of letting go and embracing to regain. So we're working with now consciousness. What does it all mean to us? And let's see, we have, immediately speaking, after that eclipse, Mercury, the dispositor of Virgo, retrograde. And Mercury and Venus will be working like partners within just a few degrees during the entire time Mercury is retrograde, which is a shorter period than Venus. And that period will be since March 15th at 9 degrees Aries until April 7th, going back into water, Pisces at 26 degrees. So it is through both eclipses.
And these are two very personal planets that are going to be helping us kind of reassess how we do that Aries energy, how we show up in bravery in our lives, how we show up as individuals and define ourselves individually as opposed to connected to others. So really big work with these retrogrades.
And we have Mars out of bounds in as a dispositor. We have a few minutes here. The Sabian is at 3 degrees. It's always rounded off. A human soul, eagerness for new experiences, seeks embodiment, yearning to increase the scope and depth of contacts with other living beings. So the keyword, desire to prove oneself. John, do you have a thing to wrap this up and we'll go on?
Going to add some trust to that, some assurance, warranty, and gentle, the gentle persuader is just trusting. Now I can't think what I'm trying to say here. To be willing to grow into what you need to grow into, and this Sabian symbol allows that to happen.
I like the action for the third quarter at 2 degrees, 15 minutes, Capricorn on the 22nd of March. And we have 3 minutes. It has, let's just look at the T-square, okay? Because the others are always happening, nourishing and that. But it is where the moon is now in this square of action between the nodes and the sun that is really moving towards the sun and Venus towards an Aries Venus Star Point, which is a point that's very strong that's going to last for 9 months at 2 degrees because it's retrograde, right? So it happens just a couple of hours after that. It brings into focus really our what we've been talking about, the values emotionally. Do we want to jump
emotionally caught in the balance when the moon is between the nodes, right? How we express ourselves. It's up there in Capricorn, wanting some grounding. Maybe there's some difficulty getting the emotions out.
Yes, we still have these connections with Pluto transforming our strategy, and along with as we're moving forward after these eclipses, actually going towards the solar eclipse. Thank you very much. And here we have the Venus Star Points. Amanda, did you have something? I hear it.
Yeah. Well, where the sun is retrograding back to Venus is retrograding back to conjunct the sun on March 23rd. So one day after this last quarter moon. And it's the deepest, most internal part of the retrograde phase when she conjuncts and is Cazimian. And that's the Venus Star Point, right?
Yes.
And so it's like some people say that she disappears into the sun and is in the presence of the goddess, and so comes out of that with a new direction and a change of priorities. And so we're coming right off of that eclipse, right? In this last quarter phase.
Great, because we have a minute here. Uranus becomes the Thales point. So it goes from Saturn to Uranus working with Saturn. So that's going to be another strong dynamic let's talk about the soup. We brought in mushrooms, coconut cream, black pepper, dumplings, more dumplings, John. And we have
It's an everything
soups. We have a comfort chicken soup and a green curry soup with salmon, sweet potatoes, onions, pearl onions, coconut milk. Oh my goodness. It's just amazing. Are we... Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a huge month, right? Big shifts are possible. I think we should all try to allow the change that's coming forward.
Oh, good. Well, we'll begin next time with the solar, and I thank you, Amanda and John.
Thank you.
Full conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests awaken consciousness by connecting soul growth patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.